All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Urbana City Council for September 3rd, 2019. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Brown.
Here.
Hazen.
Here.
Hersey.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Roberts. Wu.
Here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here. And per council rules, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance because it follows a national holiday. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the previous meeting of August 19th and a public hearing on August 12th. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Moved by Jared,
Yep. A second.
seconded by Bill. Are there any corrections? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Next up on the agenda is public input. I have cards from two people. First is from Bishop King James and Reverend Dr. Evelyn Underwood. They choose not to address members, but they're continually concerned about the Dr. Ellis subdivision sewer problems. I also have a card from Eldris Melinda Carr, who expresses continued concerns about Dr. Ellis subdivision sewer issues, equity, and historic impact. Is there anyone else who wished to address the Urbana City Council? Okay. Under presentations, I do have one proclamation. And with us tonight is Celeste Schote from the Urbana Free Library. Actually, why don't you, I don't have a microphone, so why don't you come up here so we catch this on the mic. So this is a proclamation. Whereas a library card is the most important school supply of all, and whereas libraries play an important role in the education and development of children, and whereas library programs serve students of all ages, from early literacy to homework help to GED classes. And whereas libraries empower all people to pursue their interests, discover their passions, and achieve their highest potential as learners and citizens. And whereas library staff bring communities together, creating welcoming and inclusive spaces for students of all backgrounds to learn together. And whereas libraries are constantly transforming and expanding their services to meet the needs of the communities they serve. And whereas libraries promote equity, making digital technology and information equally accessible to all. Now, therefore, I, Diane Wolf Marlin, Mayor of the City of Urbana, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2019 as Library Card Sign-Up Month in the City of Urbana, Illinois, and encourage everyone to sign up for their own library card at our free and wonderful Urbana Free Library today. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And thank you all for your service on the library board.
You're very welcome.
Very welcome.
And as an example of how our library is constantly evolving, they just announced they're going to start a seed lending library. So there will be a catalog of seeds that you can check out and plant and grow and then bring back seeds next year to keep them circulating through the community, which is a wonderful, just a wonderful idea. Unfinished business. I don't believe we have any. Reports of the Standing Committee, and we'll begin with the consent agenda. Committee Chair Dean Hazen.
Okay, the Committee of the Whole recommended that the City Council take a single vote to consider approval of the following items appearing on the consent agenda. Read each of these. I'm kidding, Charlie. Okay. Resolution number 2019-08-032R, a resolution to approve an intergovernmental agreement, GIS Consortium Base Station Agreement. Resolution number 2019-08-033R, a resolution approving a City of Urbana Community Development Block Grant Agreement, Habitat for Humanity, project number 1920-CSSP-01, an ordinance number 2019-08-050, an ordinance authorizing the dedication of right-of-way 301 North Ray Street, and finally, ordinance number 2019-08-051, an ordinance amending Urbana City Code, Chapter 2, Section 2-4, 2-27, and 2-28, Administration.
Does anyone request removing any of these items to the regular agenda? Okay. We have no public input cards related to these items.
Okay, so we're going to go on to the regular, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I skipped a whole step here. I move that the 4 previously stated items appear in the consent agenda for approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dean, seconded by Jared. So the motion to consider the consent agenda was made by Dean, seconded by Jared. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Okay, so for the committee, I move passage of the 4 previously stated items appearing on the consent agenda.
Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? Seconded by Mary Alice. Motion was made by Dean, seconded by Mary Alice to pass the items in the consent agenda. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay. No further questions or discussion. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Hazen,
Yes.
Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
yes,
Miller,
Yes.
Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes. And thanks to the clerk for guiding us through this process.
And for Jared. Okay, so next up, we're going to do the remainder of the committee of the whole, correct?
Correct.
Okay. On behalf of Committee of the Whole, I will move ordinance number 2019-08-047, an ordinance amending Urbana City Code, Chapter 22, by adding Article 2, Sections 22 through 16 through 22 through 19, Municipal Cannabis Retailers Occupation Tax Finance.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dean, seconded by Jared. Any discussion or questions? Mary Alice.
I had asked legal this question, so I thought I would just share it with everybody. I was curious if this covered CDB oil. And so I suppose that the state's intention perhaps was not to include this into the sales tax, but it's a little confusing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't have time to dig into that because I got that question just a few minutes ago. But from my reading of the definition, I don't believe that that was the state's intent. But for a more definitive answer, I'd need a little bit more time. But I haven't had a chance to read through the entire act.
All 250 pages of the act.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Just so the public knows, we did remove the word recreational from the ordinance as requested by council. Dean.
I've been contacted by quite a few constituents that were concerned that the passing of any tax resolution this evening would be an umbrella and an open, carte blanche to just use cannabis in public places like concerts, bars, restaurants, and things like that. And I just wanted to assure everybody publicly that this is only about the tax tonight, and I was hoping that maybe, Ms. Mayor, you could speak to when we might address those issues. I assume it's prior to January 1.
Absolutely. Yes, what we have before us tonight is simply establishing the 3% tax on the sale of cannabis, and that is because we need to let the state of Illinois know by the end of September whether or not we intend to do that. There are still a lot of other issues that we'll need to address, including zoning for where any other dispensaries could possibly be located, social consumption, that's what your concerns are, included in the social consumption of cannabis. That will be subject to local regulation as well. We'll be doing a whole lot of expungements next year as a result of this legislation as well, so there's a financial and workload implication for that as well. So all of those items will be addressed in the coming months.
Thank you, Mayor.
But tonight, we're simply voting on the tax. So we'll take this step by step, because frankly, there's still a lot of unknowns out there, and the state's going to be working through these as well. So it'll be a step-by-step process. Okay. Any further questions? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Hazen,
Yes.
Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you very much.
Next up will be ordinance number 2019-08-048, an ordinance revising the annual budget ordinance, budget amendment number 1, omnibus, I can never say, and city finance.
Elizabeth Hannon is available to answer any questions. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dean, seconded by Bill. Any discussion or questions? Mary Alice?
Thank you. It looks like there are several different groups that provided additional information, so I wanted to thank Public Works and Community Development. Those are the two, and the Budget Office, of course. My question was about the Technology Services and Equipment Services Fund. There was a fleet management system for $12,000. I'm wondering if that's a one-time or reoccurring fee.
That $12,000 is a one-time cost for the implementation of the software.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I know there was a question last week about the cost of the improvement of Green Street from Race to the hotel, which included resurfacing as part of the overall asphalt program, and also removal and replacement of the planter that's been in front of Lincoln Square from time immemorial. Oh, you've got pictures too? So we do have pictures of the work that was just completed.
The picture that I brought is what we hope to emulate, because it actually has.
Well, actually, we have an
green.
actual picture.
Oh, okay.
Craig sent it around late this afternoon.
Okay.
So I'm going to just share this with you, the before and after. So our commitment as part of the development agreement with the purchasers of the Landmark Hotel has now been completed, except for the landscaping. That'll be put in later. So thanks to Public Works for completing this very efficiently and cost-effectively, as folding this project into the overall larger asphalt project allowed us to get it done faster and cheaper than if we had done it as a standalone project. So, any other questions? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Hazen,
Yes.
Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Wu,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin.
Yes, that motion passes. Last item, Dean.
Thank you. Ordinance number 2019-08-049, an ordinance amending Schedule J of Section 23-183 of the Urbana Local Traffic Code prohibiting parking at all times on certain streets, Green Street between Lincoln Avenue and Race Street, Public Works.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Dean, second by Jared. Any further questions or discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Hazen,
Yes.
Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Wu,
Yes.
That motion passes. Any reports of, thank you, Dean. Any reports of special committees? Okay. Reports of officers. I did have a couple of updates I wanted to provide. First of all, I wanted to let the council and the public know that our status of our public works, search for a public works director. We've had an excellent response to reopening the search. I'm very pleased with the quality of the applications. The search committee will meet this week, tomorrow actually, and review our process, and then we'll start reviewing applications in mid-September. The search committee is composed of representatives from the Executive Department and Public Works Department, and as we go through the process, there will be ample opportunity for other employees and the public to hear from the the candidates. But we're really, really pleased with the response. And secondly, I wanted to let folks know that this morning, City Administrator Carol Mittens sent a draft memorandum of understanding to the Independent Media Center, and this was as follow-up to our discussion in July, outlining proposed obligations on the part of the city and the Independent Media Center. So we're sent it to them for their comment, review, and feedback. We also provided a copy to Councilmember Miller because he's expressed an interest in helping review in this process. So we'll look for comments and feedbacks. Still to be done is on the city side, we need to revise our public events ordinance, and on the IMC side, they still need to provide us with the, we're calling them house rules. I'm not sure what term they'll be using, but basically house rules for guiding the groups over there. So I'm pleased with the progress, and we've taken a step forward. Okay, under new business, ordinance number 2019-09-052, which is an ordinance approving a major variance at 303 West University. ZBA case 2019 MAJ07. And Marcus Ricci is here to present this case.
Good evening. Andy Rousseau is here from the Park District if there are any questions when I'm done with my presentation. So we have before us a request by the Urbana Park District for a major variance to expand the existing parking lot up to 16 feet into the required front yard at Leal Park at 303 West University Avenue in the CRE district. The park is located south of University Avenue between Race Street and the former Broad Alley, between the new Culver's Restaurant and the Lincoln Lodge Motel. The existing parking lot currently encroaches approximately 15 feet into the required front yard. Expanding the parking lot to the east in the proposed fashion would extend the existing encroachment eastward approximately 50 feet. In 1987, the relocation and renovation of the Greek Revival Cottage created the need for a parking lot. The district applied for and obtained a building permit from the city to build this parking lot and other facilities. Until recently, district staff parked on the property to the east where the new Culver's Restaurant has been built. The district now has to relocate that staff parking capacity elsewhere. They believe that the best option is to expand the existing visitor parking lot on their own property. The proposed lot expansion would be closer to the district offices than their current off-site parking, which is being leased at the parking lot to the south of the park, down here along the railroad tracks. And access would be better lit to address safety concerns and would be more easily maintained for snow removal and the like. You can see here the 1987 site plan with the 12-space lot, showing it was approximately 15 feet from the right-of-way. A little close-up showing how they avoided this mature tree there along the University Avenue side. This is an excerpt of the current site plan showing that existing parking lot. We've got mature trees to the south of the existing parking lot and mature trees and some younger trees to the east. What they are proposing to do is to build an additional 8 parking spaces here, removing 2 trees, avoiding this mature tree here, and then they'll be relocating the landscaping bed here south to the gazebo and relocating the Leal Park sign area. And then we've got a little close-up showing that on the west side where the existing parking lot is, we've got a 15.8-foot encroachment, and then as they tried to reduce that encroachment as much as possible, it drops down to 13.2 feet on the east end, but it is still a significant encroachment into that 25-foot required front yard. The applicant, and then we have the zoning here of the property. We've got B3 general business to the west and north, and B4, where the Culver's restaurant is, a little smidge of B3 zoning here still, and then the rest is B4 to the east and south. The applicant stated that the proposed parking lot expansion would consolidate these 3 parking areas into a single lot on district property and would compensate for the recent loss of the leased parking area on the Culver's site. Other than the requested yard variance, the proposed parking lot would comply with all other city regulations. The staff review of the applicant's request against the 6 criteria listed in the zoning ordinance is provided there in the staff report, and this request appears to meet all of those criteria. The staff findings are also summarized in the staff report, and we focused on the findings that the district recently lost its off-site parking area when it was sold and developed, and that the proposed variance minimizes the loss of mature trees and quiet areas in the park while optimizing the consolidation of existing parking capacity onto district property. The Urbana City Council has the following options for this case. Approve the variance based on the findings. In this memo, approve the variance with certain terms and conditions, and if so, articulate those terms and conditions, or deny the variance request, and if so, articulate findings supporting the denial. At the August 21st ZBA meeting, the ZBA voted 6-0 to forward the request with a recommendation to approve the request with one condition. City staff likewise recommends approval with the same condition, which is that the proposed parking lot expansion shall generally conform to the attached site plan and specifications. That is the end of the staff report. I'm here for questions. Also, Mr. Russo is here from the district to answer any questions you might have.
Any technical questions? Mary Alice.
So if I'm reading this correctly, part of the background was that when this was initially built, the initial parking lot, that there was no variance given at that time, even though it encroached on the front yard setback. Is that correct?
We could find no record of any correspondence or request for a variance, and the requirement at that time was a 25-foot yard setback.
So in one sense, this is not only allowing for the expansion, but also trying to make the books right, so to speak?
We did not request that the existing parking lot be considered to be legally conforming. That would have been
Okay,
an
all right, that was
additional
my
thing.
confusion. Thank
Okay.
you, thank you for that.
Sure.
And then, so if I look at, would you mind pulling up the drawing of the proposed parking lot? So right here, the existing concrete parking lot is 15, almost 16 feet encroaching, so it's about
Right.
9 feet away from the property line, correct?
That sounds right, yes.
Okay. And it looks to me like this is set back a little bit further, this proposed new parking lot.
Correct.
But we are still, the proposal is to give a 16-foot variance on that 25-foot setback.
Because the west end of the proposed parking lot is probably about 15 feet encroaching. So we were just, adding in a little buffer in case it gets out there and we find that we're 2 inches off in the survey or something.
And then my final question is on page 2 under the discussion, and you had actually mentioned this in your presentation. It says at the bottom, the proposed parking lot expansion would extend the existing encroachment into the required front yard eastward by approximately 50 feet. Does that mean that, the 50-foot kind of threw me there, does that
Sure.
mean that it's, the parking lot is 50 feet?
The extension, it's going to extend the parking lot eastward 50 feet into the park.
Okay,
Or-
because at least the way I read it is
Right.
that it was the front yard setback would be 50 feet, but.
No, it's, yes. I could have probably taken a paragraph
okay.
to try and describe that sentence.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Bill?
I guess as far as the needed for the lot goes, has the Park District tried renting replacement spaces, like at Silver Creek Lot or anything like that?
I will leave that for,
Yeah, we're currently leasing.
Can you speak into the
Yeah,
microphone?
sorry. We're currently leasing spaces right now at the gravel lot south of the park. And so there's less lighting and a further distance for staff members to travel, and there's been some concerns of safety early in the morning or later in the evening going through that. So we're wanting to own our own parking lot and then consolidate it with the current paved lot.
How many staff employees work at the office there?
There's 7 full-time, and then we usually have 1 or 2 part-time and interns.
And for the spaces that they don't use, well, even for the spaces that they use, I guess, are they reserved spaces? Can the public park there to use the park, or is
The
there any?
paved
Yeah.
currently, it's
Yeah.
public.
It's public.
So it would be used for full-time staff that are currently residing in the building, anyone that's visiting for meetings with those staff. Other district personnel will have to go to that facility pretty frequently, and then it's also open parking for any park user.
And then I know sometimes you have trouble at Crystal Lake Park with people, they're going to the hospital parking there. Do you ever have trouble like that there? Is there some way you regulate that? Is there a time limit?
Yes, we do usually have problems in Crystal Lake Park. I don't think we've actually had many issues with people parking at Leal and walking to Carl. How we deal with it at Crystal Lake Park is posting yard signs, basically, and pretty much just trying to ask people to not park there for hospital use, and believe it or not, it's fairly successful.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion for approval?
I will make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Moved by Dean, second by Jared. Any further discussion? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Hazen,
Yes.
Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes.
thank you.
Last item on the agenda are several appointments I'd submit for your approval. First is to the Historic Preservation Commission, and these are all terms ending June 30th, 2022. Renee Pollock. Ms. Pollock served as the Chief Deputy Assessor for Cunningham Township from 1978 to 2010. She brings a passion for history and the preservation of older buildings located in our community. She's committed to helping grow a multi-tiered approach to planning and community development. And for the arts and culture, well, let's just take that one individually. Is there a motion for approval there?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Jared, seconded by Mary Alice. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Congratulations, Renee. For the Urbana Arts and Culture Commission, Frank Modica. Mr. Modica is a retired special ed teacher who worked in the Urbana School District for 32 years. He's a published writer, and he looks to further encourage the arts in our community, particularly in the area of writing. Gonzalo Pania is a current graduate student and teaching assistant at the U of I at Urbana-Champaign School of Art and Design. He's an artist and a member of our international community. He's dedicated to promoting cultural activities that are engaging and enriching to all. And Ms. Angela Williams is an academic professional and educator at the U of I at Urbana-Champaign. She develops and teaches courses related to the Middle East. She's especially interested in working with marginalized female artists to have their work represented more in public spaces and helping bridge the gap between campus and the city of Urbana. Is there a motion for approval?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved by Sharice, seconded by Bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Before we adjourn, I did forget to thank our Finance Director Elizabeth Hannon, Carol Mitten, City Administrator, and all the staff, plus the owners and manager of NewMed for all the work that was done to prepare us to take this vote on the cannabis tax, and we look forward to a productive relationship. Thank you very much. With no further business before this council, this meeting is adjourned.